Is it working now? Is it working now? Tap, tap, tap. I sure hope it's working now. Yes, okay, good. Oh, look at that. We got quite a few people in here already. Queens don't have split ends. I have split ends because I am a lazy bitch. Coke lines. How I wish you were right. How I wish you were correct. Which year you trans? Do what now? Like, what year did I come out as trans? 2020. Early 2020. Make sure you guys hit that fucking damn it. Make sure you guys hit that like button. That's what I'm trying to say. How are you, Pink Fur? I'm good. I'm doing okay. Just trying to get a stream started, making the rounds, getting the name out there on the algorithm. You know how it is. That was weird. Have you dated another trans person before? Yes. What's the topic for tonight? Probably Trump's illegal invasion into Venezuela and his planned illegal invasion of Greenland and Cuba. If I had to throw out a topic, that's what I would guess that we would land on. You can believe you're a girl, but you are what God made you at birth. There is no God. The God you have spent so much of your life believing in means nothing to me. Let me change your life? No. Of course you're mad about a dictator being overthrown. Interesting framing. Of course I've got to be mad about the dictator being overthrown, right? Because that's what fits your narrative. Because if the truth is that I'm just a member of the 75% of American people that don't believe that we should be expending resources at a time where we have homeless veterans living on the street on another useless regime change war, it can't be that I've got genuine economic concerns about the state of my country and about the way our tax resources might be misused in this conflict. Nope. It's got to be that I love an evil dictator, right? Got to be for your narrative. For everything about your narrative to function, I have to be pro Maduro. Why Greenland? Good question. Good question. Why Greenland indeed? Because Greenland is militarily, strategically, what's the word I'm looking for? Important. Anyway, the people of Venezuela were happy about it. Bullshit. Bullshit. I've seen a ton of AI videos claiming that the Venezuelan people are super happy about it, but I've seen very little actual, real, provable, on the ground evidence that Venezuelans are overall happy about this shit. And frankly, whether or not they're happy about it matters less to me from my advocacy and my standpoint than the fact that I'm an American, my tax dollars are being used to prosecute this war, and I don't believe in my tax dollars being used to manipulate the fates of other countries. Unless you've got a really fucking good reason for it, and we didn't get a demonstration of that. We didn't get any evidence presented to us as to the crimes of Maduro. He's just accused of a bunch of shit, and the Venezuelan regime is accused of a bunch of shit, but the shit that they've accused them of is not the shit that they've been proven to have done. You know, like the main problem Trump keeps citing with Venezuela is this drugs thing, right? That's what Pete Hegseth keeps going on about. That's what Mark Rubio keeps going on about. And they keep on going on about this drugs thing when the fact of it is, most of the drugs that pass through Venezuela aren't even destined for the United States. Most of them are actually going to Europe. And the main drug that Venezuela does export is not fentanyl, it's cocaine. So, like, that angle doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense. And then the other reason most commonly quoted by the administration is for access to their oil, which I think is the actual real reason that we're there. I don't think you just need to listen to me. I think there's a lot of sources you can look at to fucking verify that, but, you know, I don't really think that that is a justified use of American force and power. I think that if we're going to interfere in in Venezuela's politics, if we're going to decide that they need to recall their elections or whatever, I think that there's a number of ways that we could have organized something like that without the completely opaque, unaccountable process that the Trump administration has employed. You know, like, if we did need to go into a country like that, there are steps to be taken before you just go in there one day at 2 in the morning and start killing people willy-nilly. Everything y'all say is projection? That's not an argument. That's just baseline derision. And I disregard you with the same flagrant disregard as I would consider a fly. Well, I think everyone on earth should believe like I do. And if you don't, I'm just going to dismiss everything you have to say, and I'm going to say blah, 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 blah. You're not the main character of life, bitch. God isn't real, and you're an idiot. Hold on, guys. I know you're having this whole conversation right now, but I'm a fucking zoomer on a bunch of caffeine, and I really need to tell you about Jesus. Ain't you bitches got homework to do? Fuck off. Leave me alone with the bullshit. I don't want your Jesus. I don't need your Jesus. I outgrew your Jesus fucking 15 years ago. Okay? Get it through your head. I don't want it. I don't need it. You're a perfect example of what happens without Jesus. That is true. You know, I'm self-employed. I have a family. I have an interesting personality that causes people to want to have conversations with me. I have a friend group that I'm proud of that I think reflects the number of interesting people that I think make interesting conversation partners and fun people to carry on the duties of life with. Yeah, I mean, a fully actualized life is the reality that you face once you give up the myth and veil of religion. Once you step into the light of truth, yeah, you can live like a trans woman or a trans man or whoever you really want to be. If you've been straight your whole life but you're secretly gay, once you step out of the car that is religion, you get to be yourself. You get to actually be something worth something. Crazy, I know. There's no such thing as trans woman. I know that we're scary to you, but denying our existence is not going to make us go away. We're kind of like guns in that regard. Belief or disbelief rests with you, friend. But You know, we exist whether you believe in us or not. By the way, does anybody else kind of think it's funny whenever you hear somebody say something like, I don't believe in guns? It's like, wait, huh? It's one thing to say you don't believe in like widespread gun ownership or something like that, but to say you don't believe in guns, well, they are very real. No one says that? Okay. I mean, I understand you're 12, you haven't gotten out and seen enough world yet to know what people do and don't say. You're just assuming everything comes out of my mouth must be full of shit, right? I get it. I get how it works. Thank you, Pink, for the sweet little emoticons. That's kind. What's your opinion on Donald Trump on Venezuela? Well, I think that we should listen to the president when he says that it's about oil, and we listen to the fucking State Department and the president when they say that this is about securing American interests. They used to be silent about that kind of shit, by the way. They used to pretend that that's not why. Remember, when we went into Iraq, it's not because we wanted their oil. I mean, it was, but that wasn't the reason why we sided. Like not we, but like the people in government, right? The people in government, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell, these people were not making the argument that we needed to go to Iraq because of the oil that was under their shores or because of the harm that they were doing to America actively. The argument was primarily that they had WMDs and we needed to go in there and secure them. And then all of the other reasons that surrounded it were just kind of like, post-bellum justifications. So the idea that Saddam Hussein was oppressing his people was true, but we greatly exaggerated the degree to which that affected the population in order to continuously make the argument for war. The WMDs thing just turned out to be a complete fabrication, like no legitimacy to it whatsoever. So I don't know. Like I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but I think the original question was what was my opinion on Donald Trump as regards Venezuela. I think that he's basically engaging in another Iraq. I feel like we're being convinced that we need to occupy a country and run a country from afar by a authoritarian leader that does not care what the people have to say, clearly, because 75% of Americans disagree with his decision on Venezuela. But he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that only a third of Americans agree with him on this because he's not trying to be an instrument of the American people. He's trying to be an instrument of the third that got him elected because the other two-thirds can't unite on a fucking independent or third-party candidate to finally break the system. No, they don't source. If you're going to argue with something I've said, please do me a favor and like elaborate a little bit further than shit like that. Like there's lag here, so by the time you've responded to me with your vague comment, I don't know what you're referencing. Sir, you need Jesus? I'm not a sir. Where are your numbers coming from? My numbers for what? Have I even brought up numbers? I don't even think I've brought up numbers. Because you're confused about your sexuality, all of a sudden you're a geopolitical expert? Um, did I claim to be a geopolitical expert? Are you the kind of person who's just like bitter about the fact that people like me, openly queer people, are allowed to have political opinions online? Does that piss you off because you're used to being a straight cis white guy and never having to worry about other people having opinions other than people that look like you and have the sex just like you do? You know? Is that what really pisses you off? The fact that somebody who sucked a few dicks in her life is sitting on here talking geopolitics to you? Well, get over it. Nobody cares besides you. You're the one who has a preoccupation with my gender and sexuality. I didn't bring it up. You could at least act normal, though, without going around and acting all entitled. How am I acting entitled? What do you mean? What have I done that's entitled? Just popping in to say that you're beautiful and I hope you have a good evening. Aw, thank you. Don't listen to the hate. I never do. Are you TDS free? I mean, like, I don't think Donald Trump is a good president, you know? I don't think he's Hitler, but I think he's every bit as bad as Bush was. I don't know. I feel like that didn't used to be that radical an opinion. Everyone hates you? Cool. As it turns out, hatred pays just as well as love does these days. So, good to know. As I really don't care whether everybody hates me or loves me. The fact that they're feeling something about me is good enough for me. Are you okay? As okay as I've ever been, I guess. You know, I could do with a little bit more pot, but it is what it is. Literally, I'm just sitting here smoking resin hits because I've got nothing else left. But, you know, other than that, okay as could be expected. Are you Satanist? No. I'm not any kind of religion. I don't prescribe to any particular religious belief. I'm kind of eclectic. You guess you could call me a nature worshiper, but I don't even feel like that neatly describes it. I don't know. You know? I don't know where to describe myself. Resin always gives me headaches. Not me. Stems do a little bit. Like, if I smoke too many bowls of stems in a row, I'll definitely get a little bit of a headache. Are you a man or a woman? I'm a woman. What the fuck is wrong with you? What a vague, indescribable comment that I can't even use for anything. What a complete waste of your and my time. Her stream is living now? Yeah, they have been for a while. Go catch her stream if you want to watch her. Ain't nobody stopping you. By the way, please hit that like button if you've not done so already. It really does help. I really do appreciate it. Cost-free way to help the stream. Hell no, never like this. Okay. Listen, bud, I hate to tell you this, but your algorithm would not be recommending you a trans woman in your content unless you were obsessed with trans people. Sorry. You're looking up trans porn on your phone, or you're looking up videos about trans people. Like, you're obsessed. Obsessed. Like, if you're like, here's the thing. The people, like, you have to have at least a little bit of exposure to queer people and the queer community for YouTube to want to recommend my channel to you, right? But if you're just acting like a normal person in my chat, then I assume you're probably not obsessed with trans people. But if you come in here knowing what I do about the algorithm, right? And you tell me anti-trans shit in the chat, and that's all your contribution is, I know instantly that you're a chaser, because there is no one more obsessed with porn of transgender people than people who claim to be transphobic. This has been studied scientifically. Homophobes are by far the most easily aroused by gay sex. Transphobes are by far the most easily aroused by sex involving trans people. In fact, it's made more tantalizing for you guys because you view it as a sin. Because you would get in my chat here publicly and talk all kinds of mad shit, but then you'd be in my DMs talking about what a beautiful baby girl I am. See the dichotomy there? And I've had this happen way too many times for any of you fuckers to deny it. Like, you can say whatever you want, but reality doesn't shift because of your whims. Okay? That's why trans people are legitimate and valid, because medical science has studied us and determined that that is so through repeated studies and the consideration of outcomes. So therefore, it is medical truth, scientific truth, that transgender people are real and valid. Conservative people, Republicans, that kind of person saying with their mouth that it's not that we're not valid, like, that doesn't make a goddamn lick of difference. Doesn't matter. It literally is wasted air. Because science does not bend to your whims because you want it to. People who believe they're superheroes are real too. Yeah, and they've been studied, and it's mostly found that they are schizophrenics. And there is some amongst them that aren't quite schizophrenic, but that are rather kind of like joking about it or using it as some kind of like, there's like some kind of like high level, um, like vigilantism kind of plan going on where they're trying to subvert some kind of thing, like, um, hero complex has been well studied, and that's what it's called. That's literally what you're talking about. Like, that's the most extreme version of it. Are you a man? No. People get recommended stuff they don't watch. What do you mean? You have no idea how the YouTube algorithm works, friend. There's literally a YouTube's Creators Insider video, whatever. I don't know what the channel is called, but it's an official channel of YouTube's that they use to tell people like me, monetized creators, about how to make more money on the platform. And they released their latest algorithm update video in 2023. And yes, YouTube recommends things based on what it thinks you are likely to like. Now, it's also going to recommend you some weird shit every now and again, but that's like 10% of your algorithm. So for some of you, yeah, I'm an anomaly, okay? For many of you, you're searching desperately for trans material all over the internet, and finding my stream is about as coincidental as finding a gas station when you're out of gas. You are not Phoebe? I am Phoebe. I'm literally named Phoebe. I'm gonna have to make... I hate to do this. Okay, participant mode, subscribers only. Message delay, 20 seconds. This is not a form of censorship, unless you consider excluding drooling morons from public discourse a form of censorship, which I do not. I think that if somebody gets in a public forum and starts going, 6-7, Jesus Christ is Lord, Jesus Christ is Lord. I think at some point an officer would probably come along and arrest them. And I don't think that they would be violating their First Amendment rights, because you have an obligation, at least according to court precedent, to make some level of cogent sense and to not disturb the public with the like tenacity of your obnoxion. Okay? So just like we would exclude somebody from Speaker's Square for just getting on a megaphone and making loud noises and disrupting things, I exclude disruptive personalities from this chat. Overly disruptive personalities, I should say. Really, the baseline disruptors, I like you guys. But if all you're going to say is Sibao or 6-7 or Jesus Christ is Lord or whatever, like, I don't have a dollar, a dime, or a moment of my time for you. And I'm not going to spend another fucking second of my fucking stream's life wasting time reading comments like that. They're garbage. They're literal, like, they're like the refuse of YouTube. Imagine running into this during World War II. I don't even know what the fuck that is supposed to mean, bro. That is one of those weird 4chan kind of like pole board jokes that you really just have to be like, so many down, like you have to be so many layers down the terminally online onion before you find jokes like that I don't even know what the fuck you're trying to say. No offense or anything, man, but I'm simply wondering if you think Chancellor Palpatine is a cool Republican. Yeah, Chancellor Palpatine, cool guy, awesome dude. No, I don't even know what the joke is there, but I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I know that Palpatine is the bad guy. I know that he's able to take power through a vote of no confidence. That's about as much as I know about him. Have you heard of the 6-7 meme? Well, thank you for at least paying me for it at the end of time. You can say any goddamn thing you want as long as you pay me for it. You can say any goddamn thing you please. Nope, 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 nope. You got to pay me for it. No, 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 no. No, no. I didn't say you can say whatever you want. I said you can say whatever you want if you pay me for it. Can you restate quickly your findings on the Cuba Greenland thing? Viv? Who is Viv? Oh, Vivian. Vivian. Isn't that somebody from the DFF audience too? Okay, I will mod you. Remember, you're not modding every troll, or I'm sorry, you're not, you're not banning like every single troll. Just people who are being unoriginal, uninteresting, or unreadable. Like if their sentence is full of basic grammar mistakes and basic spelling mistakes, get it the fuck out of here. If their comment is like an endless repeating of some stupid channel meme that means nothing and is a waste of everybody's time, get that out of here, Pretty basic rules, pretty easy to follow. Vivian is a Pokemon. Well, I know it's a Pokemon too, but I just feel like I remember somebody else that I'm in a community with. Anyway, I have a big question for you. Do you like women or men? Both. I too am from DP and DFF ideology in the days of old. What's up, Bo Boy? Yeah, I'm a mod in Paul's chat. And ow. Actually, I think I'm a mod on all Pessimist Productions properties, come to think of it. But I'm like the Bosch of the DFF community, basically. Far as I can tell, like I can't think of anybody else that was ever able to like really make a dollar or a dime doing this that came out of the DFF community besides Egghead. So, but that's the DP community, right? That's DP. That's not DFF. But Jamie, like she came and went pretty unceremoniously. Left not much of a legacy, and like Marshall kind of flamed out, Now the only one left is me. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, it is weird though to be like an outgrowth of that community, because like those are by far the YouTubers that I've watched the longest out of any of them. See, there you go, the end. You're getting the idea. You're getting the idea. You need a better haircut? I know. I do. You know, anybody who donates to my Cash App can help me with that. No, I mean, just in general, you can. What? The what? Okay. That was from earlier, I think. Can I ask a question? Anybody can ask a question. Anybody can ask a question. To be fair, a bob cut makes every girl look cute and nerdy. These are bangs. This is not supposed to be a bob, but, maybe I could do a bob. You know what? I'll get a bowl cut, too. It's not a bowl cut. These are bangs. I mean, if it was a bowl cut, I'd have no problem with it, but it's not. And, like, it just objectively isn't, If it was, like I said, I'd own it. Maximo Tibus with $1. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know I do. If anybody else would like to have their comment or question read or answered, consider sending a super chat or a Cash App donation. You can find that in my channel description. And obviously, you can super chat right here on YouTube. Either way, you'll get your comment or message or note read or answered. And I will appreciate the support for the channel. You guys are what keeps this going. And ultimately, you guys are a big part of what keeps the lights on, and makes all this possible in the first place. Do you have a PC, Phoebe? I do. And here in the next month or so, I'm going to be starting to stream in there a lot more often. Right now, I pretty much only do it on the weekends, but there will be developments in the coming weeks that will hopefully allow me to start streaming in there a ton more. Def a Trump supporter? Huh? That's a strange takeaway. If you look at me, my transgender ass, and all the things I have around me, and you're like, Trumpist. That is just a strange I'm just gonna say it. I think your radar's broken. Okay, girl? I think your radar might be a bit off. I think you might be due for a recalibration. If someone is bisexual and has no problem with how you dress or fuck, but don't believe in biological mixing in private spaces, what do you think about that? Using caps so it's seen. Jesus, Lexi Bay. If it's a big paragraph like that, I'm more apt to read it anyway. You really don't need to use caps. If I'm not reading it, just send it in a super chat or repeat the message until I do see it. Which, just copy it when you get it written out and then just paste it whenever you want to resend it. That way you don't have to type it all out over and over and over again. But anyway, I don't really care what someone personally thinks about any issue as long as they don't want to make it like, legislation. Like, my problem is not with people that are uncomfortable with the idea that they might share a bathroom with a trans woman, because I have no right to be, I have no right, ultimately, in my mind, to feel any type of way about the way you feel in your head. Like, that doesn't become my business until you start telling me about it, asking my opinion about it, or something like that. I do think that, you don't need to be uncomfortable around a trans woman. Like, statistically, we are the least likely group to molest you, like we are the least likely to there's a whole list of violence that trans people are like the least likely to do. Like, there's a whole list of crimes that we are among the least, likely, and not just because we're such a small percentage of the population either. There, like, legitimately does seem to be a tendency in trans people towards, like, being more um I don't know how to put it, like, more ethical in their sexual relationships, I guess you could say. Drugs and YT shorts is the new American tradition. I mean, it pretty much is, yeah. What's a popular left-leaning idea you disagree with? That Kamala Harris would have been a worthwhile vote in 2024. I disagree pretty heavily with the idea that voting Kamala Harris would have significantly changed the direction of the country overall, because I'm of the opinion that America doesn't just need a Kamala Harris. We don't need 4 more years of Joe. We need a Bernie Sanders. We need a Zohran Mamdani. We need someone who's going to bring big structural change to the way America works. And people sometimes say that's Trump, but my question is, if Trump is that, then why does America work functionally the same exact way that it did during the Bush years? And if you would say, oh, well, it doesn't, I would say, well, I mean, Trump has reversed a lot of Obamacare, right? He's reversed a lot of those provisions. So he's reverted it to pre-Obama times in that way. He is engaging in an illegal invasion and occupation of Venezuela in a very similar manner to the way Bush did in Iraq. So he's very similar that way. Like, I don't think that we need a Kamala Harris. I don't think that we need some Joe Biden piece of shit corporate Democrat that doesn't give a fuck about you or me. Doesn't even really give a fuck about winning, clearly, because they chose the wrong candidate in 2024. I think we need big, structural, substantive change. And that's not going to come from a Kamala Harris. That's not going to come from a Joe Biden. That's only going to come from a crazy socialist like Bernie Sanders or Zohran Mamdani or somebody like that. And, like the idea that we should just keep on voting for Democrats because push comes to shove, it's better than voting third party or something like that, is an idea that's hugely popular on the American left, and I disregard it wholesale. I think that if me, you, and everybody else in America that wanted to vote for a third party that hates the fucking two-party duopoly did so, that we could literally get rid of the two-party system. We could force these parties. They already each only have a third of us, okay? They only have a third. The biggest voting bloc in America is the non-voters. I know that sounds stupid, but like by far the biggest majority in American voting politics are the eligible non-voters. Okay? So that's an entire third of Americans that could be voting. Do you think all of them are just simply lazy people that don't give a shit? I don't. I think most of them would probably do something if they thought there was something to do. I think you can fucking activate almost anybody if you get a hold of the issues they care about. And what are the issues that every fucking American cares about? Well, right now it's affordability, because prices are getting so high that people can't afford to fucking live. Rents are getting so high that people are being forced out of the apartments that they lived in for years and into worse and worse housing situations. Wages have remained stagnant for so long that there is no relief coming from the employers. I mean, we're just being crunched in a way that the American people haven't been crunched in a long, long time. You have your heart in the right place and your head in the right place? Well, thanks. I think I appreciate that. I think I appreciate that. Weed is illegal in Mississippi? Not for medical card holders, it's not. Not only that, but you can also still get all kinds of hemp products in Mississippi too. Are you gay? No, I'm bisexual. And trans, obviously. But, you know, trans is not a sexuality. It's just a gender expression. And really, it's just an adjective to describe your gender expression. Pronouns, please. She, her, hers. Is that a ponytail? No, that's a bun. I mean, maybe it's deformed itself into a ponytail at this point, but it's supposed to be a bun. Add a full work week. I could not go this time. What? Do what? Affordability is a very bad term. Quantify it. What is affordable to me may not be to you. It's a wise, open talking point that can't be held to delivering upon. It's not as vague as you're making it out to be. Affordability means that you, as an average person in your community, can buy the things that you need to live and have a little bit of money left over. Like, I think that we can define the term further if you want to, but I think the implications are kind of there. I think the reason why it's used and the reason, like, you can think it's a bad term all you want, Maximo, but I think the fact that it was used to such a great effect in Mondani's campaign proves that it's actually the best term to describe what we're trying to do here. I mean, I think I get what you're trying to say, that it's maybe not, like, that it doesn't encourage enough, right? But I don't know that we should excise it from our vocabulary merely because it doesn't say enough. Damn it, man. Affordable housing and food on an average salary. Yeah, there you go. Affordable housing and food on an average salary. And that's pretty much what I think it means to most people who hear it. Like, yeah, obviously there are different levels of affordability for different class structures, but the baseline concept affordability as it's used in American politics refers to a state of products and services being cheap enough for the average laborer and people around that income bracket to be able to afford them, and people over that to not be able to just afford them, but also to have a lot more money to put back in savings and stuff like that. That's the promise behind affordability. If you're trans, can I have your unused pronouns? Yes, please. Take them. Take them from me. Take them away. Affordability is a myth. Trump any day now. Yeah, he'll need to have another meeting with Zoran to be reminded of why affordability is a thing he needs to care about. Thank you, Vivian, for the $5. I always appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mainstream Dems are spamming affordability as a buzzword in state elections after seeing Zoran's landslide victory. I know, trust me, and I hope you know that I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to use affordability as a buzzword, and maybe I kind of agree with Maximo if their point was to say that we shouldn't allow it to become one or whatever. But I do think that it's important for us to tackle it, right? Like, here's the thing. It's not going to work if the Democrats don't run the right people, because people nowadays are fucking people are for the most part wise to the Dems shit at this point, and they understand that the Dems are trying to fuck them more often than not, and that the Dems are only interested in winning insofar as it benefits their larger political agenda. And because of that, people are very wary of Democrats. They're looking for people like Zoran Mamdani, who didn't start running as a Democrat until he absolutely had to, until it came time for the primaries, you know? But, like, before that, for a long time, and as a big, like, he remained, and I think still remains, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, you know? It was DSA members that largely got him elected. $10 from Vivian. Thank you so much, Vivian404. You are donating so much tonight. I do appreciate it. Once again, shout out to anybody who donates. You guys are the reason I'm able to do this. You guys keep the fucking lights on. I'm not kidding. I appreciate you guys a ton. You guys are what keeps this channel independent no matter how big I get. Okay? But also, consider sending a super chat if you want to make sure your comment or question gets read or answered, or you can donate through the Cash App, which is on my channel description. Either way, I appreciate it a ton. Let me read this super chat now. UBI would have a dim win in a landslide? Yes, I 100% agree. If the Democrats were willing to put up a candidate who was actually not just going to advocate for UBI, but one who could be trusted to actually enforce it, one who could be trusted to actually fucking engage in it, now that would be something. Because I swear to God, if the Democrats promise one more big policy move and then it doesn't happen, they're never going to win an election in America again. They got to start delivering on some promises. They got to start allowing some people that are really interested in genuine fucking activism and genuine change in this country. They have to. They have to start allowing people like that to get within the ranks of power. Please define AI based off your opinion. I don't know that I'm qualified to do that. I'm not like, some kind of, like, I don't study AI as a hobby. It's fascinating to me as a theoretical conversation, but like, I'm not a scientist. Like, you don't really have to be an expert to comment on geopolitics or like national level politics or whatever, because politics is all just what's in the news, And if you read the news, you're going to know what's going on with that shit. And if you watch documentaries and other stuff like that, like, it's easy to get abridged of that kind of shit. Whereas AI is a specialty interest of a specialty interest. So it's a specialty interest within the broader range of the specialty interest of computer technology. Like, it's two special interests deep. Whereas, like, politics, that kind of shit is stuff that we all have to be concerned about. Things are adorable if you work, and mental illness is running rampant in this country, and people are too reliant on government assistance. Things are adorable? Huh? Okay. Interesting. Nate, I'm a truck driver. I'm better off than many software engineers now because of my immunity to AI, and yet I still only get 4 days off a month, and I still do not see housing as achievable. That is fucking insane. Left versus right is to distract from top versus bottom. Well, I would fucking argue that the left is the side that recognizes that the top is the problem, Like, it's always leftists that I hear making the argument that, like, it's the bourgeoisie, the fucking ownership structure that cause everything to be so fucked up. Like, why does your rent keep going up? Because your landlord keeps raising it. Why does your boss not pay you enough? Because your boss doesn't pay you enough. It's tautology. Why does the world suck? Because the people who own and control the systems that run the world suck. But it's the left that makes that argument, not the right. The right wants to increase the power of that elite. I was wondering about your ideas on housing density and populations versus the affordability of housing and living in general. Can you ask a more specific question? I feel like I could really use with a more specific question. The spread of mental illness is a response to a worsening environment and the mass disabling events of yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree, Vivian. There are a lot of American adults that are disabled that don't know that they are, and there are a lot of people that should really be getting treated for things that they're not going to get treated for and probably never will. And yeah, like a lot of what people say is a spread of mental illness. It kind of sucks, right? Because like what you eventually realize is that it's not that mental illness is spreading. It's not a contagious disease. It doesn't just hop from person to person. It spreads through conditions. Like if you've got more mental illness in your country, it's because your country has gotten worse. And if you see a decrease in mental illness in your country, that means things are getting better. That means people are able to cope more easily. The more resources people have access to and the better their lives are, the better they raise their children. And the better children are, like the better children are raised, like the less likely they are to come out of the other end of that mentally ill. So much of mental illness is predicated on what happens in our childhoods. And what mental illnesses do lie latent in our genetics and get triggered by environmental factors would come out a whole hell of a lot less if we didn't have so many stressors in our society. It spreads through a broadening definition and destigmatization of it, not through contagion. This is a good thing. Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, it spreads because of those things, but it's also like we're also seeing an uptick in it because of worsening conditions on the ground. Like worsening material conditions will also cause an increase in mental health diagnoses. Apologies for being vague. Let me see. How you see affordability of housing contributing to things like apartments and those kinds of dense living that's taking working into the future of the country because of the less affordable housing that's taking. Okay. I still don't know that I understand the question, honestly. Like I don't know that I get that question, you know? I hate to just cop out on this one, but I'm reading this again and again and I can't see an angle that I can answer this. Like, what? So, how you see affordability of housing contributing to things like apartments and those kinds of dense living that's taking working into the future of the country, taking working into the taking because of the less affordable. Huh? I guess I'm a retard because you've stumped me. You've well and truly stumped me. I have no idea what you're asking. I also think a lot of people are self-diagnosing and making themselves worse in their search of belonging. I'm sure some of that goes on. Yeah. In fact, I know it does, but I don't know that that accounts for because like when we're talking about like the increase in mental health diagnoses, we're not talking about an increase in self-diagnosis. We're not talking about self-reporting surveys. We're talking about clinical surveys. And clinical surveys show that there have been an increase, like a market increase in mental illnesses in America over the last 10 years. What's your haircut called? Bangs. See? G. Brell, aren't you the one who was proselytizing in here yesterday? The underlying purpose of AI is to allow wealth to access skill while removing from the skilled the access of wealth. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I wish I could disagree with it. I think that AI's got more potential than that. Don't get me wrong. I think AI could be a lot more than that, but in its present form, AI is 100% that. AI is a way to enable the already wealthy, the already well connected, the already corporate to further corporatize and to further monopolize. And it's a way for them to exclude, basically, the proletariat entirely from any opportunity that they could have for class mobility. Or at least it's designed to deprive them of one of their most common methods, right? Like the the dark green dystopian future that your technocracy overlords envision for you is one where all of us are working gig jobs as many hours a week as we possibly can, and we're also like recording our entire lives and monetizing all of it and behaving in particular ways so that we don't lose our monetization and shit. Like I am very privileged to be making money right now on YouTube as it exists right now and not in 10 years or 20 years. Like I'm so fucking glad that I have the opportunity, if I start making good money, I can start, not just fixing my life up really, but like putting a bunch back in savings. And, by the time shit starts to happen and fall apart, maybe I can have a little bit, not and by fall apart, I mean, by the time shit starts to become so, like the pressure starts to become so intense that if I was just reliant on that income alone, I would have to go find some gig job or something like that. Hopefully by that time, I've been able to set myself up with enough self-sufficiency that I don't have to do that kind of thing. Because, like, I don't know about you, but I don't really fucking idealize spending 100 hours of my week, at the grindstone. It just does not strike me as a fun way to spend your days. Let me read the super chat that went by. Message deleted by Vivian. Oh shit. Well, thanks for the $1.99. Do you know about Giannis Varoufakis's theory of techno-feudalism? No, but it sounds very interesting. By the way, did y'all hear about what happened with Tara Knight, transfeminist activist threatened by the FBI for radical gender ideology? It's scary what happened. Oh, shit. What? Oh, my God. That is fucking scary. That is legitimately fucking worrying. Oh, my God, dude. This is like we're functionally no different than fucking Russia at this point. Like this is how it starts. I literally saw someone on Reddit saying something like fellow Russian here, and I looked into their posts and about half of them are written in Cyrillic. So either they're like a Western agent pretending to be Russian or they're a fucking Russian. And they said somebody made the comment that I just did. They were like, God damn, it's just Russia here now, isn't it? And a Russian commented and was like, hey, fellow Russian here. Yes, it is. And this is how it starts. It was on a video of an activist getting arrested mid-news interview because she'd led a protest earlier that blocked some roads, the same way Martin Luther King Jr. used to. We are becoming the same fascist country that locked up student demonstrators after Kent State, that shot student demonstrators during Kent State. We are becoming the same fucked up country that aimed fire hoses at Martin Luther King Jr.'s peaceful congregation. We are returning to the same fascist state that led to the death of Emmett Till. And we're seeing it happen before our eyes. And we're all just kind of sleepwalking. We're all just kind of like sleepwalking. We're all talking about it. We're bitching about it online. We're all worried. We're all crying. We're all sad. We're all upset. But not a goddamn one of us is really doing much about it, Like, we take to the streets for these protests, but they don't last. Like, every single one of us needs to be doing what Portland's been doing for the last fucking, 6 months, basically. For the last 6 months, Portland's been hitting the streets almost every day. Maybe not in huge numbers, But there's always a few people out there fucking with their signs, letting people know. And god damn it, we need a mass fucking movement that does that tactic, but with 1 million people, or 10 million people, or 20 million people. We can extract concessions, even from a hostile government, because Trump, well liked as he is, he literally cannot order the military to just shoot us all. He literally can't do that. His generals won't execute that order. I don't even think fucking Hegseth would execute that order. I know this is off topic, but I understand your political views, but I'm generally curious. What is your opinion on the USA-Venezuela situation? That regardless of how evil a dictator Venezuela might have had, regardless of how evil a dictator Maduro might have been, it was not our business to go in there and determine the fate of Venezuelans for Venezuelans. It was not our job to be the world police and decide that Nicolas Maduro doesn't get to lead his country anymore. And nobody sought a single fucking inch of accountability throughout the entire process. I believe that when the United States uses its military in any kind of offensive on another country or any kind of intrusion to another country, I think that there ought to be fucking accountability to that process. I mean, congressional hearings. I mean, long fucking discussions with UN partners, with NATO partners. None of that happened in this case. We were given about 6 months worth of consent manufacture, and then the anvil was dropped. And no matter how happy people in Venezuela might be at first, they're going to figure out pretty quickly that America does not leave prosperity behind when we start a new colony. The ship that America sails to your country does not leave prosperity in its wake. And the ship that it sails away from actually leaves poverty. Or the ship that it sails away in, I should say. The ship that it sails away in actually leaves poverty. Your space looks cozy. It is. Oh, the U.S.-Venezuela thing is so fucked. It's a matter of like U.S. oil interests. We've been incredibly interventionist in the global South. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But yeah, basically, the only reason why we are in Venezuela is because we stand to profit a ton from that oil. Right now, we have a bunch of refineries in the deep south, mostly in the deep south, that are only able to run, that are specifically designed to run Venezuelan extra heavy crude. And we haven't had we haven't had like a good relationship, like a good working relationship with Venezuela in a long time. So those refineries haven't really been able to feed themselves at full capacity for a long time. But we just got 50 million fucking barrels of oil given to us by Venezuela under coercion. So those refineries are going to get fed. And that is ultimately the real purpose behind this. And even like oil interests is one thing. Because if it was just oil interests, then that would imply on some level that it's profit and just profit driving it. No, it's about weird. Anyway, it's about what I can only describe as a genuine and heartfelt desire for global hegemony. They want to rule the world. They literally want to rule the entire planet because they are the people that are responsible for making all these decisions, are each and every one of them they are themselves Straussians or the descendants and ideological descendants of Straussian neoconservatives. And they believe, therefore, that there are two myths that it is important that they enact. Not necessarily they don't have to believe them, but they need to enact these beliefs. And they need to encourage these beliefs in the rest of the population. One is the myth of religion. The second is the myth of the nation. The idea that in America's case that we are a unique country with a unique destiny to rid the world of evil and establish in its place democracy and compassion. And this idea is itself really just a philosophizing, smarmy, euphemistic way of presenting the idea that American self-interest can be philosophically justified. Because we are not just every other country, we are America. And America is the good guys. We saved the day in World War II, and that means we're the good guys. We need to start looking out for everybody. Nobody else has people from all over the world. There are so many things that go into the myth of the nation. But a big part of it, well, really not a big part of it, but one of the big policy outcomes that comes from people believing strongly in this myth of the nation and comes from people who want to push it so hard on everybody else. One of the policy prescriptions that comes out of people like this because of that belief is the idea that we need to take over countries like Venezuela. Notice how Marco Rubio doesn't bring up the oil. You notice how every time Marco Rubio is asked about the oil, he sidesteps it. Marco Rubio is there for regime change because the oil to him and the mineral resources to him are a nice little fun side quest. They're a nice little, it's cool. He's not mad that he's getting them. He's not upset that America has access to that infrastructure now. His main purpose in wanting Venezuela and wanting Cuba is control. It's an extension of the Monroe Doctrine and an evolution of Straussian neoconservatism that has morphed together and created people like Marco Rubio. Who not only believe that it is our right to control this entire hemisphere, but believe that there are really clever philosophical justifications for it too. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Please send another like button. Did I just say send another like button? Please hit that like button. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You probably do, though. Why does it say my time is fucking gone to 6 minutes? What the fuck is that? January 6th seems like just yesterday. Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet. What do you guys think about the fact that it's been now, what has it been, 5 years since Trump told his fucking supporters to storm the Capitol? We had the biggest fucking insurrection ever. Like, there have been a few kind of like things like insurrectionary attempts, but, none of them that have come like that close to actually getting in. Thank you for the $1.99. Why it did reset to 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah, I have no idea. Food-backed currency instead of baseless currency? Food-backed currency. Now, that's a unique idea. I've never heard of that before. But if you have some thinkers that have talked about it before, please do share because I'm interested in hearing about it. Thank you for the $1.99, by the way. I appreciate it a ton. But yeah, Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send the stream out to even more people, which increase the quality of your viewing pleasure, making center people engage in chat. You look a lot like a Jared. Nope. We don't have a baseless currency or labor as the currency. Labor value and monetary value do not stack neatly. Yeah, labor and speculative market value. That's a better way of putting it. Because labor has value, but the speculative market has way more value than labor does. Or at least I would imagine it does. Who cuts your hair? Me. Dollar value is also tied to the opinion on the US from the global market. Oof. Yeah, that's fucking... Isn't that wild? You know what I wonder, though? Is there like an algorithm that makes these decisions, and how does it work? Or is it like some analyst? And like, who's the person responsible for actually changing the numbers around? Or like, one of those things, it's one of those things that when I think about it, I realize how little I know about it, right? I know that money is how you buy things, and that if you save money, that gives the bank more assets, and therefore the bank has an incentive to pay you a little bit, and that's interest. And I know that if you get a loan, that the bank is taking a risk, and so they tack on a certain amount to the loan, and that's your interest, right? I don't know, but it's interest, right? Like, I get that. I get stocks, but I don't get how they work. And I get the dollar, but I don't get how it works. Like like I feel like I know just enough to make myself feel retarded. Does that make sense? Oh, those little green pieces of paper that I use to buy weed whenever I need it. Like, and that's fine, but I know that money is complicated. I know that the value of a dollar changes from day to day. I know that you can look up what the US dollar is valued at any given point in time, but I don't know that I understand necessarily how that correlates to global market conditions. I feel like maybe I should take like a college economics class or something. Like, would that help me get economics for dummies? Why are you twitching your legs like you smoked crack? Because I got the personality of a crackhead. The foreign exchange market dictates current values against each other. See, and as soon as people start talking about like markets and values and exchanges and all this shit, my eyes glass over, my head starts becoming an endless void, and all I hear in my ears is womp, 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 womp. It makes not a lick of sense to me. I try to make it make sense. I want it to make sense, but I feel like I need someone to explain the stock market to me like I'm 3. Because I feel like a fucking child when I hear people talking about the speculative market. Like, I understand that it's based on opinions, but that's what I don't get, right? How the fuck can the value of any goddamn thing be based on an aggregate opinion and be translated neatly into numbers, right? Because I understand if, like, I guess, like, I think I know, like, I have a theory as to how maybe it works, but I don't know if that's true. Like, my theory is that there's probably some index that Google is citing whenever you search, hey, what is the value of the US dollar right now? And that index is probably based on some analysts somewhere crunching the numbers on some algorithm that gives them specific things to look into, maybe specific separate indexes. And then that all eventually leads out to some number being spat out. I don't fucking know. They use past performance to predict future success. It is the same concept used to judge whether a person is trustworthy. Yeah, but how are those numbers determined? You see, you're not getting what, like, I get all that, okay? I get, like, kind of like what the idea is behind how they're doing it. I just don't get the mechanics behind it. It's based on belief that a dollar is worth anything. It's what's called a fiat currency. Guys, I understand all this. You're not getting my point, and maybe that's my fault. I guess I'm just not explaining it well enough. I understand how speculative markets work in the sense that I know that they're based on, if you're talking about a company, then it's based on the opinion of that company from within the country, from its vendors abroad, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's opinion that goes into that and shit like that. I know with the dollar, it's got, um, I really don't know how it works there. I know it's also somehow based on opinion, but I don't get how that translates neatly into a number that you can quantify. And unless you're just taking averages of like for example, if you wanted to determine like the average cost of milk, and say that that's the price of milk right now. The price of milk is $1.21. And technically, if you went to the shops, in some places it'd be $1.15, in some places it'd be $1.35, but you would land on $1.51 $1.21 or whatever I said. I get something like that, but surely that's not what's happening with stock prices. Like, is there some dude whose job it is to or some person whose job it is to wake up in the 8 in the morning and they just like open up a laptop and they start like reading 1,000 different analysts and like inserting different numbers? I don't get it. Do not understand it. I think you might have come in with a predetermined notion of what the fuck this stream is, Bob. We haven't been debating in like an hour. I've literally just been sitting here talking about money. Yes, but that's still based in shared delusion. It's the science of the social construct that is currency, ultimately baseless. So that's why I don't understand it. That's why. Okay. So it is exactly what I thought. So it's all just bullshit. It's all just bullshit that has been made important in our lives artificially through industrialization and urbanization and the dominance of capital. It's not real. The reason why I'm getting so confused is the same reason why I get confused when I read the Tao, or why I used to get so confused when I read the Tao. It's because I'm looking for a base and there's not one. I'm looking for, it's like I'm looking at a mirage. And the reason why I never get to the mountain is because there's no mountain there. I'm looking for something that doesn't exist. Because at least if there was some crazy algorithm written back in 1835 that describes the exact relationship that this, that, and the second and third market condition produces this price, at least then I could understand and be like, okay, so it's bullshit like everything in human society is, but at least it's old bullshit, well-refined bullshit, bullshit that we've spent a while figuring out. You're too autistic to fall for the smoke screen. The autistic have the eyes to see. That may well be true. Maybe I am too autistic to fall for the fucking smoke screen. Dude. By the way, if you are a supporter of the channel, or if you want to be a supporter of the channel, you guys are the ones who keep the lights on around here, and I appreciate your support a ton. Consider donating through Cash App if you have that, and you want to. I believe my referral link is in my channel description, as well as my cash tag, or donate through Super Chat, which is available here in the chat itself. Either way is appreciated. Anyone who argues for stocks as voting with money needs to read on the current trading trends brought by groups such as BlackRock and cross-reference that to retail traders being cut out. Oh, shit. Look at that. Yeah, damn. See, like, what the weird thing is, right? I would make a joke, right, that leftism or something like that means that you just can't understand money. but it doesn't, right? Because you strike me as the kind of person who is maybe not a leftist, but at least a person who's aware of the financial coercion present in our current market system, and aware of the like corruption and collusion within it, and of like the arguments that people will make and everything. And you also clearly understand the stock market in a way that I could never hope to. I can tell, just reading that you've got a better understanding than I do. Now, maybe you're just full of shit, but you're full of shit in a way that is far more convincing than me. Anarcho as fuck? Yes! 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 Discord mod energy? Oh my god, whatever. It vapes and does drugs. It makes shitty comments online about people that'll never give a fuck about them in their entire life. Anarch has an amazing series of videos about the structure of hypothetical anarchist organization. I love that. I love that. Voting with your dollars has exists in the same respect that people had the right to vote in elections in 1780. See, that's a good point to bring up, right? It's a good point to bring up because you had the right to vote in elections in 1780, but not everybody had the right to vote. Women couldn't vote, slaves couldn't vote, indentured servants couldn't vote. You could only vote if you were a landed male, and it was pretty much exclusive to white people. Pretty much, it was only like there was no like racial bias was not written into the law, so it's not like you would be excluded merely on the basis of your being black. But there were so few black landowners in the colonies that it might as well have been white landowning, white landowning men only, right? And I'm sure in some places, like, whiteness was written into the law. I'm not saying it wasn't present anywhere. I'm just saying that, for the most part, they didn't really need to write that part in there until the abolition movement got a little further underway. Old white men with a lot of money could then and now just the same. The format just changed. That's a good way to put it, Nikki. And yeah, in that way, voting with your dollars does still exist. Yes, you can vote with your dollars. You don't do it with fucking stocks, and you honestly can't even really do it with BS movements. I mean, you can try, but and I guess it does work if you have the support of the country that you're doing it in. But really, you can't vote with your dollar if you're not rich. Now, if you're super rich, you can vote with your dollar all day goddamn long. If you're rich, you can afford to buy off a politician. Look at Elon Musk. He paid the most, like $180 million or something like that to Trump's campaign, by far the biggest contributor. And he basically was trying to buy himself an election. What he ended up buying himself instead was a dog collar. And he thought he was getting that, I guess, but he thought his hand was going to be the one holding the leash. He thought the leash was going to be in his hand, not in Trump's hand. He thought the collar was going to be on Trump's neck, not his. What he found out instead was that he bought himself a collar and put the leash in Trump's hand. What's with the disgusting burping? I have gas. Better out than in. Question answered. Kinky, I know, right? Anarchy is non-hierarchical. God damn it, I hate that word. No wonder I'm an anarchist. Do you guys want to hear a good song? I see anarchy as no laws, violence reigns supreme. Well, that's not what anarchy is, I feel like most people have that kind of like conception of anarchy because like the word, like translated literally kind of sounds like that, but that's not what you're supposed to envision when you envision an anarchist society. An anarchist society is simply one in which um, the people who like coordinate decision making are regular people who have to cycle out of their leadership positions regularly and are not given privileges above you or any of their other neighbors in accordance with their status. You can still have cops in an anarchist society. Well, maybe not cops in the modern sense, I guess, but you can still have town guards or city guardsmen whose job it is to make sure that like people aren't fighting, and that if somebody tries to cause grievous violence to someone else or something like that, that they can be apprehended. Like, there have been a number of anarchist thinkers over the years who have postulated a number of different ways that a successful anarchist society can be formulated. Yeah, it's not going to include cops. That was a mistake on my part. I shouldn't have said it like that. But, like some kind of position of like a human being who's like, hey, you're the designated crazy person tackler. That's existed in pretty much every society. And it's only really been since the last fucking 200 years that we've decided to make those people like a special breed of person. Because for the longest time, the fucking town guard just happened to be like the favored peasants of whatever village, like they weren't exactly like, and they weren't socially privileged over you either. If they stole from the king, they were get locked up and killed in the same manner that you would for violating the law. They weren't given like this. Now, that's not to say that there weren't distinctions. Obviously, there were huge distinctions in feudal society, but insofar as the people who were responsible for maintaining everyday, regular, law and order, those people were, for the most part, not treated like special snowflakes that could not be touched or harmed. I mean, I guess they were in the sense that obviously you're kind of, like, you can't just go up and attack anyone for no reason. But it's not like, as far as I know, you weren't. Like, the idea that spread in Braveheart that an attack on the King's Guard is an attack on the King's himself, I don't believe that was actually true. Not to be rude, but you aren't really tackling the ideas presented. You're literally deciding what is correct, not making a determination using actual information. Okay, I'll try to do better in the future, boss. This is Talking, Smoke, and Chill Time, not the Cold Hard Facts show. That's another fucking good point. Thank you, fucking Vivian, for pointing out the goddamn, like, obvious truth. Thank you. Yeah, like 90% of the stream is me smoking resin and talking shit, like. This is a difficult way to communicate. Well, you're certainly right about that. What arguments are being brought up? That's a good point. I don't really think that there have been much arguments or much debate really going on in the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so, but, It is, but it's how to catch the short shrifters. It is. If you want to look at anarchist thought processes, go check out Andrewism or something. Yeah, right on. I just figured since we had a lot of anarchists in the audience, there's a goofy song you guys might like, You might have already heard of it. I'm going to have to, change the key a little bit. I drive a car because they run on gas. But if I did, it'd run on biomass. I ride a bike, or sometimes I skateboard. So fuck off all you drivers and your yuppie hordes. Sitting all day in those traffic queues. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't eat meat, I just live on moldy chives or the donuts that I found in yesterday's dumpster dive. Look, you people in that restaurant, I think you are so sad, but you could have been having bagels like the ones that I just had. I can't believe all these bourgeois things you do, and I'm a better anarchist than you. I am not a pacifist, I like throwing bricks, and when the cops have got me and I'm taking a few licks, I always feel good when I've got a bloody nose, because I feel so militant and everybody knows. By the time the riot is all through, I'm a better anarchist than you. I do not have sex, and there will be no sequel, because heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. I'll just keep on mashing to anti-flag and crass until there are no differences in gender, race, or class. I can't believe all the bourgeois things you do. I'm a better anarchist than you. I'm a better anarchist than you. I'm a better anarchist than you. David Rovics, everybody. Give it up for David Rovics. I'm channeling his music through my own guitar. I will do that. What's going on? Well, Vivian, I just saw your offer on Discord, and I don't know. Like, my voice probably sounds a little strained because I haven't been drinking much water, but as far as being tired goes, I'm getting there a little bit. My preferred donation method is Cash App, but otherwise, I just tell people to Super Chat. But that goes to anybody who's ever considered, supporting the channel in general. Your guitar is epic. Well, thank you, Vivian. I appreciate it. You've been so generous tonight. I appreciate it. What's your Cash App? It is in my channel description. I know that's extra steps. Forgive me for that. But it's fucking long. Not that long, but it's like 3 words. It's Fulcrum plus Bayonets. Because that's, I made it when I was like originally going to do this band fucking solo project thing. I don't know, man. I can't change my cash tag now. I have to contact support and I don't want to. But it is in the channel description, and someone could post it here if they wanted to, and I would pin their comment. Fuck those drivers for real. This guy skateboards sometimes. I don't skateboard. Fuck yeah. Look at that. What a fucking mensch. Look at that. Right-wing anarchism is called anarcho-capitalism, but that is effectively being a corpo in cyberpunk, and I expect you to end up licking a toilet for money by that end result, which is, yeah. Literally, anarcho-capitalists are the most self-defeating cucked fucks on the planet. But, whatever. That's mean. I shouldn't say it like that, okay? I get it, right? There are a lot of anarcho-capitalists that I feel like some kinship with, because ultimately, I can see the allure of the free market, right? I can see the allure of it, because every so often you'll read stories or you'll see instances of corporations competing to do something, and you can get a sense for how that, you can understand why. And there's other obviously circumstances and contexts that you can think of that can make that sound even better, right? By the way, I did pin my Cash App to the message thing if anybody wants to donate that way. But, words and stuff, I don't know. I don't remember what I was saying. Fuck the pubs, but rest easy, Charlie Kirk. I agree with that. Rest easy, Charlie Kirk, man. Yeah, fuck the Republicans, but rest easy, Charlie Kirk. He did basically what I do for a living. Why would I shit on the man from beyond the grave? Unless it's about one of his positions, but his life? Dude, he seemed like a fucking perfectly loving father and husband. And I'm sorry, but I have a son. I cannot look at Charlie Kirk and not see myself dying in that chair with my blood spurting out of my neck. And I can't help but think of my son sitting 12 feet away from me and seeing that. So even if I thought that dude was fucking reprehensible, and I do, and I'm not, this is the first time I've ever gotten teary-eyed thinking about it. I don't consider it some great tragedy, but divorce his politics from it, and a dude got his neck blown out on live television 12 feet away from his fucking daughter. That is just monstrous to me. Yeah, murder is not an effective way to engage in political praxis. Thank you for agreeing with that. Oh my God. So many libs wanted to act like we should be celebrating that shit. And I'm like, when has political assassination ever achieved its stated goals? Like, can you name for me an example, please? It's like, well, no, you cannot. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ, which was intended to destroy the message of Jesus Christ and end the fucking schism that was occurring between the Jews, actually ended up creating the schism and drawing it even further. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., which is a way more factual assassination. We actually know for a fact that happened. We know the events of it. James Earl Ray thought he was going to extinguish the voice of the civil rights movement by killing Martin Luther King Jr. and chill their speech. In fact, the opposite ended up happening, and it ended up being the leverage that President Johnson needed to pass the Fair Housing Act. We have no good examples of the assassination attempt on Reagan just ended up making the left look like loonies for 10 years. It made the left look like lunatics for 10 years and made Reagan look like this, kindly old man who just survived this bullet, this horrible, hateful assassination attempt when he's such a nice guy, Like, the optics to assassination are always bad. How many COVID shots did you get, all schismatism aside? 2? I didn't get any of the boosters, but that's not because I'm anti-COVID booster. It's because I'm lazy as shit. I also haven't had a flu shot since 2021 either, Whatever, call me a plague rat, but I get the big ones. When there's another new pandemic, okay, I'll go ahead and get that vaccine. And next time I go to the doctor and they tell me I need to re-up on my COVID shot or my flu shot or whatever, I'll do it. But, you'll forgive me if I'm not exactly checking the dates on all my vaccines and seeing if they've expired yet. CIA was in on MLK? I don't know about that. They might have been. What do you think about that scary airborne fungus? Have you read about it? No, I haven't read about it. You almost blacked out last flu shot after you had it? Well, are you super sensitive to pain or something? Because that's not a normal response, FBI, CIA is external. Yeah, and as far as I know, there's way more evidence for FBI interference with Martin Luther King Jr.'s peace campaign and shit like that. What are we talking about? I really don't know yet. I mean, we're almost at the end of the stream now at this point. I'm pretty much just, playing out the string. At this point, we've got 10 minutes left. I'm setting a hard limit. We got 10 minutes left. Any last donations you guys want to send, please send them in. Any last comments or questions you have, please do that. My Cash App is the pinned message. And that is my preferred platform to get donations. But you can also do so through Super Chat, and I will be right back. They say the prisoner had spent hours a symbol of defeat. West has remained in prison and victory seemed complete. You know that never involved and never materialized. So what are they on? All right, what do we got? 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 If I set aside my political differences from Hitler, I can acknowledge that suicide is sad. Oh, Post. Always with the, the necessary edge. How long have you been singing / playing? I've been singing since I was a little kid, so 20 years, but playing I've only been doing for about 10. And I don't do either that well. I don't know, unfortunately. Do I know any AJJ songs? I do know one. I don't know if I feel like playing it tonight, though. I wish you the best, honestly. But looking at you, you need to get healthier. Yes, and thank goodness we can all see your suave body, right? Right on, Maximo. Fair enough. How about Pat the Bunny? Okay. Tell you what, if you guys can muster up $10 worth of within the next 5 minutes, I will play some Pat the Bunny. Well, there's 5. There's half. Somebody else pony up the other half. I'll check my Cash App again. Nope, no notification yet. Oh, damn, look at that. Hair Valkyrie with the $20. Pet that bunny. Thank you fucking for the $20, dude. It's always generous folk punk kids coming with the big money and the little to say. All right, I'll do it. Let me just get one more resin hit out of this bitch if I can. Damn it. Man, I can't wait till I get paid. I hate that I only get paid once a month. Anyway. erase that. Let's see if I can do this one more time. Let's see if I can draw it from the opposite direction. Man, I can hear the resin crackling, but it's not burning, so whatever. Is what it is. Alrighty. You guys ready? Alrighty. Well, we're kids building models of a world we might want to live in. We're sorting feelings in our stomachs. Is it liberation or starvation? But have we made it anywhere at all if the dishes are never done? If we can't live without dishwashers, how would we live without cups? So you're asking me, who does the dishes after a revolution? Well, I'll do my own dishes now, I'll do my own dishes then. You know it's always the ones who don't ask that fucking question. Well, I don't believe in God, but I'm also not an atheist. Because the universe is chaos, but chaos makes favorites. And you know lately I've been thinking about how I love Jesus. Because Jesus, he wasn't dirty homeless. Hippie peace activist. He said, drop out and find God to anybody who would listen. I don't know why I picked that key for that song. I'm an idiot. I'm a retard. I can barely sing in that register anymore. I'm fucking myself over every time I do that. Shit makes me want to fucking erase myself from existence. That was awesome. No. That requires a redo. That one requires a redo. I mean, there's some straining that's going to be involved no matter what key I play it in, but let's just see if this works any better. Well, we're kids building models of a world that we might want to live in. We're sorting feelings in our stomachs. Is liberation or starvation? But have we made it anywhere at all if the dishes are never done? If we can't live without dishwashers, how would we live without cops? So you're asking me, who does the dishes after the revolution? Well, I'll do my own dishes now, I'll do my own dishes then. You know it's always the ones who know that ask that fucking question. I don't believe in God, but I'm also not an atheist. Because the universe is chaos, but chaos plays favorites. And you know lately I've been thinking about how I love Jesus. Because Jesus, he wasn't dirty homeless, hippie peace activist. He said drop out, find God to anybody who would listen. Turning water into space bags. Turning water into space bags. Turning water into space bags with low lives and anarchists. Now that I thought sounded okay. Oh shit, that was a big burp. Aww. Post, you are the best hype man. You really are. You're an absolute vibe. Thank you for brightening my drab evening. Aww. Well, you are so welcome. I'm glad I was able to do that for you. Genuinely, that is fucking cool as shit, you know, because I'm having a pretty drab night myself. But let me see here. Made my day. Thanks for brightening up Clown Hell USA for a moment. Well, thank you for for being in here, dude. I'll give you guys another one, another folk punk classic. This one's Mischief Brew, though. I sing this one as a lullaby to my son a lot, if you can believe it. We sat on the boat, rocks of plum white, and we watched the fog roll and swallow the bridge on the bay. Thought I could live here, but I'm still in high gear, sweating and freezing 3,000 away. Old Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Mileage, coal fires buckle the miners' highway. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. And old Delta down, Hostile City, PA. Well, we all come from, most died of the black lung, another browbeater, a boxer and saint. He finally got caught, the cops made a few calls, they opened his cell, never fought him again. Old Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, the coal fires buckle, the miners' highway. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. And old Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. And old Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. Wake me when Steel City's roadwork signs shine in my face. Woo, now we're safe. Was at a peep show with drive-through windows. The gun shows got carousels and funnel cake. Says church in neon. It asked me what's beyond. If I had to guess, I'd say more of the same. Old Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Island, your coal fires buckle, the miners' highway. I'd love just to leave you, but it's good to see you. And old Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. And old Belvedere, Hostile City, PA. That song is called Old Pennsylvania. This feels like a sea shanty somehow. Do I know any sea shanties? Do I know any shanties? Let me think here for a second. All right, hold on. Let me make sure the key's right. And Oh my God. Okay. I do know a sea shanty. It's a damn tough life, full of toil and strife. We will men undergo, and we won't give a damn when we meet our rum. How far the winds did blow, for we're homeward, homeward bound on the Arctic ground from a good for we're homeward bound from the Arctic ground on a good ship, torn and free. And we won't give a damn when we drink our rum with the girls of Old Maui. Rolling down to Old Maui, boys rolling down to Old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to Old Maui. Once more we sail with the northerly gale toward the wind and rain. Them tropical fronts, them tropical blunts are sure to see again. 6 long months we sailed and toiled on the cold Contractor Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic grounds, rolling down to Old Maui. Rolling down to Old Maui, me boys rolling down to Old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic ground, rolling down to Old Maui. That took me a minute. Took me a minute to remember it. Took me a minute. Gotta love that energy on the stage, haha. Fentanyl is such a mood for a band name. Fentanyl? That would be fucking funny. Fentanyl is like a third industrial hip hop, a third breakcore, and a third hyperpop. Fuck yeah. Absolute peak. Yeah. Dope. Nice. Vivian with another fucking 5. You guys have been so incredibly generous today. And I want to make sure that I got all the super chats. Let me see. Thank you. Let's hear a Phoebe guitar shredding eternal relatable tracks. Thank you, Vivian, for the $5. Thank you for the $5. And oh my God, you guys have been so kind tonight. You guys have been so generous. Thank you guys so much. Chat got distracted during your playing. That is fine. That is totally fine. That is totally chill. You guys are allowed to get distracted, you know. Oh man. Trying to think if I know any other good songs I should play for you guys before I put it up. Yeah, I'll play one last one. This isn't folk punk, but maybe it'll brighten your mood a little bit. Hold on. Hold on. People, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, well, you better swim fast or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing. Some writers and poets throughout the land. Wait, no, that's the wrong line. Come writers and poets who prophesize of Japan, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't you speak soon, for the wheels still that spin. And there's no telling who that it's naming, for the loser now can be later to win, for the times they are Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't lock up your doorways, don't lock up the hall, for he who gets hurt will be he who has stalled. The battle that's currently raging will soon shatter your windows and batter your walls, for the times they are a-changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, well, don't criticize what you can't understand, for your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. And your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of this new one if you won't lend your hand, for times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast, and he who's now first will later be last, just as he who's now slow will later be fast. Your old order's rapidly fading. Please get out of the new one if you won't lend your hand, for the times they are a-changing. Phoebe is like FaceTiming with your aunt that moved to Vancouver. You know, that's the biggest compliment I've ever gotten, I think. And with that, I'm going to call that a successful night. You know, we didn't make anything on Cash App, which means my ass is going to have to fucking waller in impunity with no cannabis for, you know, the foreseeable future, unless I end up getting a front or something somehow. But I asked, and he was like, well, I'll let you know when I can do it, which is, you know, vague. So, but, you know, I could fucking focus on that and complain and bitch and be an idiot, you know, or I could be smart and be like, you know what, my voice is kind of fucked up at this point, you know, and I've been streaming for like 2.5, and, you know, I'm pretty tired, so why not just go to bed at this point? Anyway, thank you guys to everybody who donated. This has been one of the most successful nights we've had this year, in fact. So thank you guys for all the super chats. Thank you guys for all the donations and the gifts and everything else. Thank you for liking the stream and supporting the channel as always. And I will see you guys some other time. Thank you.